So it's been a few weeks and I am basically done with the Corsair boss meal. Of course with the help of hyperburning and extra totems I had from last month. I like to say I had a very chill time training Corsair and it wasn't very hard considering I had already prepped with Absolab gear at 17 stars and some equipments at legendary potential before the ignition update. So starting out with some of my own opinions on this class, bossing with a Corsair is actually pretty fun and satisfying at the same time. As an example, I liked watching my summons dealing damage against the boss while I am on the side dodging some other boss mechanics. And there is a fourth chop skill that does like an insane amount of damage and can really chip off a huge percent of the boss's HP that comes out every 5 seconds. And if you have the 20% cooldown skip inner ability, there will be instances where you can activate it twice or possibly more while fighting against the boss. Great DPM overall. Bursting as a Corsair is actually pretty good and easy to learn too, since it's really just one skill that does like a lot of damage with like a bit of delay in the beginning animation and then launching over like 400 lines of damage, then going back to DPing within the rest of the bind, or like it could be done like off bind if you want it, but usually it's done with during bind. So yeah, great burst. Though this may be a personal problem that I have, but I tend to forget to resummon the crewmates that the Corsair has mid-fight, and this is quite like an important summon for summoning recruitment because it does give you like crit damage, like 5% is pretty huge. Corsair does have a fair amount of micromanagement to optimize the DPM, and since summons doesn't run on buff duration and instead it runs on their own summon duration, during fights the duration will feel like a little bit short on time. Quite important to like have it out all the time since it's like the entire class's gimmick. Survivability and mobility that the Corsair has is quite decent too, with 2 iframes, one being your burst and another being a 2-second iframe with a 30-second cooldown. Almost like the hero's World Reaver but slightly longer cooldown. Though the 2-second iframe is also capable of doing like an insane amount of damage, but I would use it like as a panic button and getting out of sticky situations where I might die. Corsair is also capable of gliding after using their up jump, meaning you can dodge lotus lasers or use it as an up jump as a distance extender following the flash jump. And also flash jump canceling, you can do that. Also, a little helpful tip that some people might not know about Corsair is that apparently if you put it into a macro, you can do something like this. A lot faster, but I don't know why this happens compared to using it by itself. Gotta say, putting it into a macro is like a lot better. So all in all, bossing is pretty chill in my opinion, as I consider Corsair to be more like a DPM class with a fair amount of micromanagement. Difficulty would probably be like around medium level. Now training with a Corsair though, whew, I am amazed with how good it is. Cause you see with Corsair by themselves, they already have 4 summons with pretty good range, so each of them could cover like a whole platform by themselves. And in the ignition update with Urda Fountain being introduced, that would mean like Corsairs can pretty much cover like the entire map without moving at all. Though of course you will still have to like resummon everything, and it's very easy, but I wouldn't say quite low effort in doing so. It's just because most of these doesn't have like any cooldown except for Urda Fountain has like a 60-second cooldown but 60-second duration, so every 1 minute you'll have to like resummon everything. And you could pretty much do like lazy grinding with this class, because what you're pretty much doing is just standing on one platform, holding down rapid fire until all the summons go down, then resummoning everything, then going back to rapid fire. But yeah, that's pretty much what lazy grinding method for Corsair. Works really well in most maps. So training with this class is pretty easy and busted, but only if your summons are capable of doing one-shotting or two-shotting the mobs. Now, any problems that I have with the class is that I heard it's optimal to boost 9 skills of Corsair, but 9 skills takes like 6 node slots, which is a lot for Corsair, and so yeah, they're going to be quite very expensive on node stones. They could still go with the usual 4 boost nodes if anyone's struggling with nodes. But for me, since my Corsair is hyperburn, I thought I might as well go as much as I can and settle with like 5 boost nodes boosting 8 skills. So pretty much struggling with not enough node stones for other skills even at level 250. All in all, great experience training this class and pretty good DPM bosser, but may require like decent funding to get this really going. Alright, now going over to the equipment on what I have for the Corsair boss meal. We will start off with the emblem, 2-line attack. You should stick with this, but usually you want like IED line and 2-line attack. Well, that's pretty hard to get already, but 2-line attack is already good enough. Going down, badge. Got pretty lucky with this one. Let's see, Monster Park. I did this every day until 250. Got really lucky on this one. Secondary, all the other equipments right here. All these other equipments are 17 stars and legendary potential with at least like 18% main stat. Since that's like the minimum you want for a boss meal, if I remember correctly. Except for these two, actually. But yeah, this is all 17 stars and 18% minimal. Got really lucky with the Cloud's Treasure with 3-line dex, 2-line prime, and also 1-line dex. Pretty good. Well, for a treasure hunter ring, this is an 18% stat. It's more like a stat ring, but then I could probably replace this with a reinforced and get it to 17 stars. If I want to put in like a few more weeks into this character, but I'm gonna stop right here since it's already pretty strong enough. Or I could just wait for like another event ring and then put it onto here. And for superior pendant, yeah, I'll probably wait for like a 5, 10, 15, try to get this to 17, and then try to get to legendary. I could get legendary right now, so it's not gonna be that bad. But yeah, so yeah, all of these equipments are at least like 17 stars and 18% potential line, main stat. And I got really lucky with, but not really, it's easier to get with an Android heart for 3 line stat, if you didn't know. And then arcane forces, this I usually want to be like at 700, but then I didn't put it on. With the medal that, the title that you get from the event, would jump me up to like 750. And pretty good stats too, but it's only temporary though. And then going over to the V matrix, these are all what I have, just from opening like regular node stones and using a few experienced node stones for the skills. I think what I was planning to max out first was Knowledge Assault just for increase the burst damage, or you do Bullet Barrage. Either way, you're all just fine. And then for the boost nodes though, I usually want these to be like at least 15 plus, and using 5 boost nodes boosting like 8 skills. Yeah, 15 plus for boost nodes. And these could just be left at like level 1 or something, or just use like node stones that you get along the way. Oh yeah, and now going over to the links that I use. These are the links that I use for this boss mule. You swap over to this if I'm training right now. Now the legion that I have, I'm at over 8k legion, but this is the bossing legion that I use, and then this is going to be for when I'm farming. And that would bring me up to 24k stats. Also, these are all my hyper stats that I use for this character. But now, if I were to use all of my skills, let's see, going by this order. $15 mil range, and then we use the Angelic Buster, 20 mil. And jumps me out to 27. But temporarily though. Also, yeah, I use the 20% skip cooldown. That's pretty much it for what I'm going to do with the Corsair boss mule, since I will stop it here. Unless I want to put more time into it, just get this one up to 17 stars or just replace this one. But yeah, thanks for watching.